Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. This is Dawn Pauley from Pauley Designs, and I'm so glad you could join me. I'm working with the new Pinkfresh Studio Guiding Light stamp set. You get this beautiful image of a lighthouse, and you get 7 sentiments to go with it. I love how these sentiments are so uplifting. And you can purchase the coordinating dies to go with the stamp set. And I love how it has the dies for 4 of the sentiments because it makes cutting the sentiments out so much easier. Then you can either color the images yourself if you like to do some Copic coloring, or you can purchase the coordinating stencils to go with the images. I like to use the stencils better than using my Copic markers, but that's just me. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I do is stamp my image with a black Copic friendly ink. I did stamp a sentiment to use, but then I decided to change it after I assembled my card. I wanted to show you that on the back of the packaging that comes with the stamp set, it gives you an idea on how to stencil the image and what it looks like finished. So that's a good thing to keep on hand so you can reference it if you wanted to. Then I wanted to show you that each of the stencils are numbered 1 through 6. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to place it over the image, and all these stencils line up super easy. The first color that I'm using is the Pinkfresh Studio Misty Coast. This is a very light, warm gray color. I'm using the full-size ink pads here, but ScrapbookPal does carry the Pinkfresh Studio ink cubes. It's the same exact ink pad, just in a cube size. So I wanted to let you know about that. I'm putting down a very light coat of this gray. This is the main color I'm using for the entire lighthouse. As you can see, I'm tapping most of the color off on a piece of scrap paper because I don't want it to be too dark, because this is, my main color, and the lighthouse, I want it to be kind of like a weathered white color. I'm focusing mostly around the edges of the lighthouse, making them a little bit darker. The next color I bring in is called Rocky Slope. It's from the same cube set as the Misty Coast. Here, I'm mainly focusing on the edges of the lighthouse. I'm tapping most of the color off on the scrap paper again, and I'm really trying to make the edges look weathered and old, and I think this color does a great job of that. For the little bush, I'm using Fresh Pear. I thought this would be a nice green color for the bush. And then I'm going to peel off the stencil, and look at how nice that looks. I think the shading looks awesome on the lighthouse. For the light at the top of the lighthouse, I'm using some lemon whip ink. I just love the names of the colors of the Pinkfresh Studio ink. I don't know why, they're just fun. And then for this section of the lighthouse, I wanted to use some red ink. This one is called Berrylicious. Now, I will tell you, the blending brush that I used was a little bit too big in my opinion. If I were to stencil this again, I would definitely use a smaller blending brush. I have them. I'm not really sure why I didn't use them, but it would have made it a little bit easier going around the windows and the small places. So I'm going to make a mental note for the next time I color this. I also colored the house in red as well to match the lighthouse. And for the arches on the window, I used the Rocky Slope color. And then here's going to be the peel and reveal for this stencil, and I just love how it turned out. I'm coloring the inside of the window with the Misty Coast color. However, a little later on, I go back and add a little bit of the Rocky Slope to make them a little bit darker. I color the door with the Berrylicious color. And then to finish off the lighthouse, I'm using some Pinkfresh Metropolis ink. This is like a dark gray, and it comes in the same ink cube pack as the Misty Coast and the Rocky Slope. I'm really putting a lot down for this color because I really want this color to be dark and stand out. I'm also coloring the roof in with the same color so it kind of matches the lighthouse. And look at how nice these colors look together. I love how this is turning out. I think it just absolutely looks stunning. Okay, let's work on the background scenery. I placed the next stencil over a new piece of white cardstock, And I'm using some Distress Oxide ink tumbled glass for my sky. Pinkfresh Studio has some really great blue colors, but I love my tumbled glass for the sky sceneries. I just use it for every sky scenery I have. I think it just really is a nice blue color and looks great no matter what other colors I'm working with. This stencil does have two clouds attached to it. I just make sure to be careful when stenciling around them so they don't move around. You can even hold them down with a finger as you stencil over them. Okay, here is the peel and reveal, and look at how nice that looks. The next stencil is going to add some shading underneath the clouds if you want to. I'm adding a very light coating of the Misty Coast, but if you don't want to have any shading under your clouds, you can skip this part if you wanted. For the ocean, I'm using the Pinkfresh Studios Seaside color. I love this blue color. It's a very rich looking blue. I'm tapping a lot of the ink off onto a piece of scrap paper just because I don't want to get a lot of harsh dark spots. And at first, I was actually going for a lighter blue color, but then I decided that I really liked how it looked with a lot of the ink down. So then I added a lot more to make it darker. You can see how the more color I add, the smoother the color gets, and it really reminds me of the ocean. For the sidewalk, I'm back with some more of the Misty Coast color. This color works great for just so many things with this stencil set. For the last stencil, I'm using the Pinkfresh Studio olive color. I thought this color looked really great with the colors that I used for the bushes, and it goes really well with the blue ocean and the color of the sky. Once again, I'm rubbing a lot of the ink off on the scrap paper, and I love this color so much that I decided to really put a lot down and make this a deep green color rather than a light color. And once it dries, it just smooths out really nice. Here I'm adding the green color over the blue sky color to make this little hill over here. You can't even tell it was blue before I went over it with the green color. And look at how nice this came out. It's such a great scenery. You can use this stencil to make a beach scenery as well instead of grass if you wanted to. I'm using the coordinating dies to cut out the lighthouse. I used a rounded rectangle die to cut out the middle of the scenery to leave a border for around the card. And then I put foam tape on the back of the border and I attach it to an A2 sized white card base. I adhere the middle of the scenery inside the frame, and this is going to give the card like a dimensional look where the border is raised up and the middle of the card is set back. I put foam tape on the back of the lighthouse and adhere it so that the house is touching the sidewalk. I die cut the fence from some white cardstock and then I adhere it in front of the lighthouse. I went ahead and stamped the sentiment, "Let hope be your light," and I glued it to the front of the card in between the two clouds. And to finish off the card, I'm putting some Pinkfresh Studio ice drops onto the front of the card with some glue and my jewel picker. I love putting bling on my cards. I think it really adds to the look of the card. I think this card came out really nice, and I really love the scenery that you make with these stencils. I think this stamp set is very versatile and can be used for so many different types of cards. I want to thank you for joining me on the Scrapbook Pal YouTube channel. I would love for you to leave a comment below and let me know what you think of the card. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the Scrapbook Pal YouTube channel and their other social media platforms so you don't miss out on any great inspirational videos. Also, check out their website for any new releases they might have. And as always, I want to thank you for spending your time with me, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.